Well, hello. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today on Local 3's podcast, Breaking Ground, where we discuss all things labor, labor history, politics, and organizing as it relates to the largest construction trades local in North America, Operating Engineers Local 3. We are just at over 40,000 members strong, and we're proud of that number. And while most of our members are considered to be involved in the construction industry, actually a whole third of our members are public employees. Now, this population of members works in a very diverse groups. So we have law enforcement, we have maintenance workers, we have members who work in hospitals, we have 911 dispatchers, and many, many, many more. So today we're going to talk a little bit about this population of Local 3's members, as well as how the union can best represent and protect them. So I'm happy to have on the show today with us two employees who work very hard to represent our public employee members. We have the Director of Public Employees, Tim Neep, and we have Business Agent Michael Moore. So I'm glad you're both on the show with us today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
First, Tim, can you just briefly explain sort of the diversity within the public employee members you represent, and then what your duties as the director of this group entails?
Sure. Yeah, like you mentioned, we have a wide variety of public employees everywhere from what you mentioned, from law enforcement to highway maintenance to disposal workers and lots of entities in between. So operating engineers, they picked up public employees in 1969. In 1968, the Myers-Mills Act was actually put into law. So a year after that, we actually started picking up our cities and county workers out there to, represent them and help them to have a better opportunity to raise their families and things like that under a union umbrella. So I'm very glad to be and thankful for the membership as far as the work I do for them. It really motivates me to, work for the membership. I believe that operating engineers, that's our mindset. We look at the membership and we know that's our focus, right? We don't try to do good for our bosses, we do good for our members. Those are our bosses essentially. So that's a really motivator factor for me. I've been doing this for a very long time, almost 40 years in organized labor.
Well, Michael, do you want to talk a little bit about how you got into this line of work and how long you've been here and what you currently do for the members?
Yes. My grandmother was an activist out of Gainesville, Georgia. And when I was young, I didn't appreciate what she was doing because I didn't have a thorough understanding. But to risk our family's life in order to facilitate change definitely had a mark on the way I think. So seeing Ruby Wilkins in the Newtown Florist Club, that was a group that was formed to be the flower bearers at the funerals. Well, they went to a lot of funerals and they started asking why so many people dying. So when you go to City Hall, you ask questions, you find out the answers. Those answers were, well, the community is built on a toxic dump. So they became an environmental activist group and fighting against those forces in the South and seeing all the accomplishments that she was able to achieve with this organization inspired me to do great things. Now, I went into law enforcement to help facilitate a change. I'm at work with a uniform on, being a police officer, and then go pick up a picket sign after that. Yeah, because I have to advocate in the community as well. After that, that led me to work for a guy by the name of Hosea Williams, who was Dr. King's organizer in the South as well. And so that led to this thing called Union Summer. And I got involved with the unions back then, and I've been doing it ever since. Which has now led me to be one of the business agents here at OE3, which I always say is the greatest union this side of the Atlantic. And if you know what that means, it's all encompassing.
Okay. Well, so you have a passion from a very early age, and you've used that passion throughout your life. One of the greatest benefits of Local 3's public employee representation is how the union helps mediate in disciplinary cases, as well as issues regarding pay and benefits, as they're protected by certain labor laws and the bargaining agreement negotiated between the union and management. Can you kind of give us a rundown on a few of these instances, how union representation helped your members when they were facing a problem, either through termination, a disciplinary action, reduced pay? Because I think a lot of our members don't realize that one of the main benefits of union representation is you're not alone in your job, right? So you have a union staff person who can walk you through the complications of that process. So can you talk a little bit about some of those instances where we achieved success for a member who probably wouldn't have had that success without, your union representation?
I'll take it. We have a lot of cases that come up where members are called in for a meeting, an investigation, because the employer wants to investigate something that has happened. When the members go into these meetings, in some instances, because they don't know that they have rights to union representation, even in these investigatory meetings, to say, look, I want my union rep present. And that's the biggest benefit, one of the biggest benefits that our members have, the right for representation in the investigatory stage, which is their wine garden rights. And they must exercise these rights because if you don't exercise, you're going to lose these rights. So having a union rep present at that investigatory meeting will definitely help mitigate anything that the employer is trying to do negatively against the employee. When we get involved, the employer may want to terminate that employee. We are able to say, no, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right, what about this, what about that, you didn't follow this in the four corners of the MOU. These are all the things that we bring up, which leads to us to have a high success rate of about 90% for our grievances and complaints. So our participation, our involvement, our being actively involved in these cases help prevent, in a lot of instances, upwards of 90+% of these members not getting terminated from employment. It is crucial that they involve us from step one. The minute you are notified as a member that your employer wants to talk to you, ask, what is this pertaining to? I'll give you an example if I can. If your employer tells you, hey, you know what? I would love to see you in my office today about 4:00. Please stop by. I need to just talk to you. Well, your self-defenses are going to be way down because the employer is very nice. And it's like, oh, I'm going to go see my employer. But if your employer says, in my office at 4:00, I won't have it any other way, you're going to be frightened. It's going to scare you. So therefore, you're going to say, oh, I might need to call somebody. So even though your employer may come at you in a very nice way, subdued way, still ask, what is this meeting pertaining to? If you do not get an answer, notify your union rep ASAP. Because once you've put something out there, you cannot pull it back, and it makes it harder for us to win these cases. I'm not saying we don't, because we have a high success rate. But having us involved from the step one, from day one, from the initial involvement, makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
You mentioned the wine garden rights. Can you explain what that means exactly, what those are?
That's your right as an employee. Mm-hmm. And basically, that is your right for union representation. It is crucial, paramount, that you exercise this right that you have. This right for union representation says that you have the right for a union representative in an investigatory meeting. Mm-hmm. That could mean the difference between termination and keeping your employment.
Huge.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a word, adjective that is bigger than huge. But yeah, you have that. Operating engineers, local number 3, I can say one of their mantras is to be the best service providers out there. The members need to understand when an organization takes that to be one of the footholds or strongholds that it's founded on, it's very important. Take full advantage of that as a member. Call your union rep. Reach out to your union reps. Work with your union reps. Exercise your wine garden rights and all the other rights that are afforded to you as a union member with OE3. That's only going to make you a better, stronger person individually, and it makes the union a better, stronger union. I always look at it from this standpoint. The union is not Tim. The union is not me. The union is not you, and the union is not them. The union is all of us. Mm-hmm. We're all in this together. And so my job as a business rep is to empower that member as well. I will teach that member how to be the best member in representing themselves. And then even if it's not in the context of any disciplinary actions that may be taking place, but how to become a better advocate for themselves and their coworkers. That's not just the responsibility of our job stewards, but it's the responsibility of the employee as well. Because we know union labor, in more instances than not, is the best labor that's out there. And that's what I want. I strive for us to be the employer, the ones I represent, of choice. Because we know that employer knows OE3 members are providing great darn service.
Well, they're happy, right? Because they have all of these benefits that the union provides them. And I think the membership understands in terms of negotiating contracts that that's what you do. But this is a whole other sector that is in some ways more important than that.
Yeah, and everything Michael's talking about here, Michael being one of my business agents, so thank you, Michael, is the difference between non-represented employees being in what we will call non-union versus represented union employees. So a lot of these benefits and victories do come from, these are a part of this package if you come into the union, especially Local 3, that you can rest assured that your career's in a more stable position, that you have people representing, talking on your behalf and helping you to get, increases and health benefits and pension benefits, and to enhance these benefits, along with the discipline that Michael's referring to, and other things that we do as far as politics. So a lot of times, especially if you're looking at public employees, it's driven by politics. So public employers, they cannot really give out different benefits to employees unless it's really pushed legislatively and things like that through our politics. And that's one thing that Local 3 is very strong in as well. I always like to tell the membership we have a seat at every table when it comes to politics. At the federal level, we have a seat at that table. At the state level, we also have a seat at that table. And our local governments, we have a seat at those tables. So we're very present in that. That along goes with our construction that we have in this local union. Together, we become very powerful when it comes to politics. We're well respected in the political arena, if you will. They know that operating engineers is a union that is very busy taking care of its membership. Therefore, it doesn't have time to bring frivolous or meritless grievances to the table. They know that about us, and we're well respected there. So that helps push our agenda. They know we're serious about what we talk about. We're serious about our membership that we represent, and we get that reverence of respect when we're at the Capitol and at the any of those types of city council meetings and things of that nature. Helps us advance our cause.
It does.
Can you mention some of the wins in recent cases? Obviously, we can't say names, but just, where an employee maybe was going to receive a 10% cut in pay for disciplinary, but you got them 5% cut in pay. Can you kind of talk about some of those specific wins?
Which is very important. When an employer gives a notice to terminate, they don't do that arbitrarily. They have evidence, they have all these different things. Having union representation, again, like I said earlier, we go through the finite details of every single thing you could think of to try to find something to mitigate and lessen the discipline that the employer is proposing. So we find these things and we show where the employer was wrong. So we take that from a termination case, showing up late, habitually showing up late, but the employer never did ask, and the employee did not divulge the information that they were going through mental stresses. So we were able to get this person a last chance agreement instead of terminating. We've had situations where employees may have been outside the scope of what they should have acted and done as it pertains to vehicles or equipment in certain agencies. And we were able to mitigate those liabilities and circumstances and get that from a termination down to a suspension. You mentioned pay. Pay is huge. When the employer comes after an employee, and I'm saying it just like that because I feel sometimes like the employer is coming after an employee, and they want to punish that employee. And one of the ways they want to do that is through economics. And because of our involvement, we were able to take someone who was literally looking at a 10% reduction in pay, and we know if we need every penny we can get these days, and we were able to get that down to a 5% reduction in pay, but for a short time period. Understand how important that is. You don't just get hit with the 10% and you have to live with it, but because of the involvement of the union reps, we took that down, we got that mitigated to a 5% for 3 months, and then they got restored back to their salary. That's huge. It's a hurt, but they kept their job, and they got their money back.
There's instances also where someone might be working as a shift supervisor in the interim, but they're not receiving compensation for that time frame. So you can come in and say, you've got to meet and confer with me about any of these changes in the contract, or this person is owed this money for that period of time. I think if I were, going to get reprimanded, I mean, that's a scary thing. It's an emotional thing. And to know that you have someone else there, not, literally holding your hand, but holding your hand so you can walk through that just not feeling so alone. I mean, what a gift that is. And somebody with your expertise and your years on staff to know how to kind of see all the different angles, that is invaluable. And what I'm hearing is the members don't really understand that they have that benefit available to them. So today is just a call to action, like use your business agents, use these resources that are available to you. It's only going to help you. And this is the type of thing that your union dues go toward. And this isn't the only one, right? Michael, you have mentioned here, there are so many other benefits that the union provides. Do you want to talk about a little bit more of those?
Most definitely. A gentleman came to me one day, a couple of years back, and he says, Michael, I want to buy a car. How do I go about doing that? And I was like, you just get a loan, but go through the credit union. He's like, we have a credit union? Indeed, we do. He done his comparisons and said the credit union has the best rates. He got his loan through the credit union. I've had multiple people down in, I'm going to call it the Monterey County area, who have sought out our credit union, became members, and secured loans for homes and down payments for homes and cars. So having that access as a union member to a credit union is huge. I'm going to think of another word besides huge later. But you're able to participate in that program. We have something called Union Plus as well. So as a union member, you have Union Plus benefits. It's a litany of benefits: rent-a-cars, travel, hotels. You get discounts. Even on your cellular phone, you get a discount because you're a union member. What a great benefit to have. Also, health benefits. Our members, once they sign up in the PE side, we call that public employee side, they actually get a death benefit. Zero cost to them. That is what your union provides for you. Take full advantage, become a union member, take full advantage of your union membership benefits. That's huge.
Yeah.
That little bit can make a lot of difference if something were to go wrong. And we do know that during COVID, here today, gone tomorrow, and that's no pun intended. I'm not saying it in a negative way, but for those members that did not make it through that, they had this death benefit, and that is huge. Legal. having access to someone who to give you legal advice as it pertains to your employment. But a benefit outside of that on Union Plus is having access to prepaid legal. The public relations, and Tim spoke about the lobbyists and our public involvement, having a seat at every table. We currently have one of our union members who is the president of one of the chapters that we have within OE3, is actually on the city council of a particular city that we have. That's huge as it pertains to the public employee side of having that type of involvement. You have access to that. We just endorsed another person down in the Monterey County area to serve, to help him get elected. And what we do, we phone bank, we door knock, we door hang, we give literature. Because when it comes to the public employee side, having those friends on the city council who guides and direct what direction that employer is going to go in, having those allies make it easier for us to get the wages and benefits and services that we need. And everything that we do in the public employee side, as far as reps and as far as members, it benefits the residents of that particular city, town, county, whatever the case may be. They receive those benefits as well.
Well, and then back to the politics, which you had mentioned. Unfortunately, there are forces at work always to try to strip public employees from having union representation. I'm reminded of Scott Walker in Wisconsin. Tim can talk a little bit more about that. But if we are not active in the political realm, our right to represent public employees will be stripped away from us.
Absolutely, yeah. And you mentioned Scott Walker in Wisconsin. Actually, on that campaign, we sent a lot of people from Operating Engineers Local 3 out there to help fight that. But just as well as in Wisconsin, California, you can name any state in the United States, you have, parties that are working against everything that we try to do to help benefit membership, but the people. We work in California, we got Nevada, we got part of Utah, and we got the Hawaiian Islands. So the working men and women under this umbrella of union can actually come out better and benefit their lives and their family lives. And that's what union really kind of focuses on, is the membership. How can we make their lives better? How can they, provide for their families better? That's really our focus. So come sign up with Operating Engineers Local 3 and join our family.
A union member who's a public employee is skilled, they're well compensated, they're happier, they're probably going to have families, they're going to live in their local community, and then they're going to spend that money that they've made thanks to their union in their local community. So it's just the circle of benefits. So this discussion of public employees shouldn't be union members is false, right? Because they actually contribute to the economic value within their community. So right. we need to fix that misconception.
I want to go back to something really quick, if I can.
Please do.
You mentioned Scott Walker. Scott Walker's mentality, and anyone that thinks like that, it's a race to the bottom. And what I mean to the bottom, it's the bottom of economics. It's the bottom of pay. It's the bottom of compensation. We want people, and people should want for themselves, for their wages to go up, their benefits to be better, so forth and so on. People like Scott Walker has a different mindset. Take away people's right for representation, no advocacy, then you're left as a at-will employee, and your employer could terminate you at any time for any reason or for no reason at all. Ask those that work in right-to-work states, and they'll tell you they wish they had representation. So people like Scott Walker are a detriment to the working-class men and women in this country, and this states, particularly in California.
Because unions raise the wage for everybody.
That's what we do.
Yeah, across the board, like you said, for everybody, even the non-union benefit, because we're out there fighting for better working conditions, better wages, benefits. Well, the non-union can't just sit in the dark for so long, right? Because the union scales keep going up and up and up. The non-union has to follow that trend. They probably have a $12 an hour or more disparity between the wages easily. But they cannot just park their wages here while the union keeps growing and growing and growing, because eventually nobody will work non-union. They'll all have to go up here. So
Well, that's what we're hoping happens.
that's right. So when we're out there doing the work that we do, it benefits all. It benefits people that in the non-union world. It certainly benefits all the union membership, in our state. It's wonderful.
It's nice to have you here today because we say, oh, call your business agent. It's an idea, but you are a real living, breathing person here, a human who obviously is so passionate about what you do. And this is the type of agent that you're going to find working for you within Local 3's public employee sector. And so it seems to me that the message today is talk to your union agent. At the onset of any disciplinary problem, that's the first call you make. And talk a little bit about how much time you devote to these types of cases, Michael.
A disciplinary case, if you put it in the context of man hours, and you say, well, I put 40 man hours into this case, that's a lot of time that you would put into a case because we want to win. I'll speak more specifically for myself. I can take it personal if I don't win. So I'm always trying to be the person to request audio if there was a recording of an investigation. I need the video. I want to look at the mannerism of the investigator to see if they done anything wrong. I critique every little thing. And there's agencies that'll tell you, Michael, we're so sick and tired of you always requesting this information, and we're sick and tired of you just killing our investigators. But that's what I do.
That's your job.
That's my job, and that's what I do. And I point that out to the member, and the member sitting there right next to me or on the other line and saying, "Thank you. I didn't know. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that." That is what I train my shop stewards to do as well. And collectively, we are able to destroy a lot of these investigations. So, getting back to your question, your point was, I'm here, I'm live, I'm breathing. Use us from the onset of anything that come up, and it doesn't have to be necessarily discipline related, but it's a lot of it is discipline, and it is a lot of hours we put into it. Are we mad because we put these hours into it? No, we want to make sure that we're successful. We're happy to do the work. That's what we're here for.
Ultimately, you're just helping people.
We are. And, being able to go home at the end of the day, if you will, because there's no end of the day for us. We're 365. We're 24/7. We're 7 days a week. To know that we have put our best foot forward, and then we bought the other foot to put that forward as well, it really makes us feel good. And when we get together as business agents, and we talk about these victories, and we talk about some of the different things, and we strategize, it really makes us feel good that we're all on the same page and wanting one thing: success for the membership, because that is crucial. And when our members are happy because they win their case, they see our involvement, that is a resounding comfort for a lot of people. And we want our people to know that. And we want our people to be empowered as well.
Happier workforce, more productive at the end of the day. So,
Well, when you are successful, that's probably one of the greater parts of your job. Are you ever, thanked for the work that you do?
Yes. Can I give you an example?
Sure.
There was someone who was facing termination, and we were able to negotiate a settlement of 3 months. I guess I'm not satisfied. I'm not Prince, because that's in one of his songs. Maybe I'm like I wasn't satisfied, but I pushed and pushed and pushed and got this person a much higher settlement than was initially offered. And that person was very thankful that they were able to get that. And that makes me feel good because they feel good and they're happy. Saving someone's job and they thank you. A lot of times people cry, men and women, because that's food on the table. That's a roof over their heads. that they got that now because of what we were able to do for them. So they're very thankful and very grateful.
Yeah, true. And again, to the success of the business representatives, of the public employees, and we do. I'm going to talk a little bit about our organizing strategies. You know, we do have an organizer in our department. I can tell you over the last since people have gone back to work after COVID, myself have been getting a lot of phone calls from different groups out here in California saying, hey, we're not represented. Could you come and represent us? Because they see the work that the reps are doing, right? They actually see and hear about these stories out there in the workplace. So if you're a county or a city, and maybe we're only representing a certain party in that city, well, that word travels, and before you know it, we are getting the calls. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of that for our union, that word of mouth is like that they're saying, hey, the operating engineers is something different and powerful, and we need to look into that. And so we're just, matter of fact, just got a transportation authority out of Yuba City, Sutter. Had our first negotiation session with them last week. So there's 66 folks that are very, very motivated and very happy that we're coming in. And the employer, we sat down with them. They're also very happy with it because they recognize that through our politics and our political machine, for lack of better words, we can help them. We can help them push bills that can raise tax basins and things, you know, if you're a school district and different things like that. Whatever that employer is, we can come alongside them as a partner. That's the other part of this job, is the members we represent, but also partnering up with that employer, right? And helping them be successful. So we do that. And so through all of those examples I just gave you, yes, the phone is ringing. People are saying, can you folks come out and represent us? And we're glad to do that. So pretty awesome.
And when we partner up with these agencies and we bring in these new agencies in, we're able to roll out our insurance premiums, our insurance packages,
That's right.
which is cheaper than what's out there on the market.
Yeah.
Look at the benefit you got. So you have less money coming out for you to pay for your premiums than if you were just going with the employer's recommendation. So these are the benefits, and this is what people constantly are thanking us. Like, thank you for being on top of it. Thank you for lobbying for me. Thank you for giving me my benefits. Thank you for letting me come in your union. Right. Thank you for letting me be a part of your family. Thank you for helping me out my wages. You just helped me and my family be able to do something. We took a vacation with these constant things. So sometimes it can be a thankless job, but no, when people are thanking us, because they are constantly thanking us every single day for the things that we do.
It's very rewarding and fulfilling.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Now, what's some of the hardest parts about your job?
I would say probably one of the hardest things about the job is that there's not two of me.
You're like a clone.
You know, I just want to I want to win at everything that I do. And that's not just me. I'm pretty sure that's Tim. That's my other coworkers as well. We want to win at everything we do. Because if we know that if we can win at everything we do, we've made the lives of people that much more better than what it is now. And so in some instances, we don't win. Sometimes we might lose a grievance, or we might lose a case. It's not because we didn't fight with everything that we had, but it's just disheartening to see us not being able to get something for somebody. And, you know, so we try not to let that wear on us. I speak more specifically for me. I try not to let that wear on me, but sometimes it does. It does. And I will always have that in the back of my mind for the next situation, or in some instances, I keep bringing up that same thing, and it's been 4 years to that employer. And maybe the employer will say, okay, all right, well, okay, bring that person back, or whatever the case may be. But that's just me. I have a very dogged mentality, and I bring that to the table. And so I want to be a winner at everything that I do. Because when you're advocating for people, there's nothing more gratifying than success. So when I'm not successful, it kind of wears on you a little.
That's right. And we like to take the people from the field, the people that are out there working, the membership. And when we go to look for hiring folks and things that we want the best of the best from the field to come work on our staff. That's how I look at it. So I always kind of look around and folks are out there walking around and doing their thing and being good stewards and things. Those are the people that I'm looking at and watching them, grooming them probably. But those are the folks that can make a really good business agent too. So as far as me sitting here as a director, there will be other people that will come up in this organization that will be sitting in this seat, and I'm looking forward for that to happen. This is an organization of growth, of upward mobility. You can climb the ladder, as they say in the real world. In this organization, there's much opportunity, not just for the members. We're all members. I'm a member. You're a member. You are. So the growth and the opportunity when you come to a union, to the Operating Engineers Local 3, is immense. I go out and talk to members even when they're having problems in family, because it isn't always just fighting for they're in trouble with their employer or with another coworker. Sometimes they just have personal issues like we all do. And I'll sit down with those folks in a room like this and just, hey, how can I help you? And I get a lot of gratitude for doing that.
They're not alone. Our members are not alone.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
correct.
think they forget that. I think that's sort
Right.
of the main point of today's discussion, is just that there are all of these resources available if you just pick up the phone and call. So I will put the names and contact information of all the public employee business agents at the end of this podcast. So if people are in the middle of a grievance process, a termination, any type of hearing, you're telling me they need to call immediately.
Yeah.
Yes.
They need to call and ask for help, ideally before they have the first meeting with the employer about an issue.
Yes.
And you will walk them through step by step and try your hardest to get them the best deal you can get them. And that's an invaluable resource for anybody, because it's scary to be called to the table because you did something wrong.
Yes.
Are there any
Thank
other
you.
closing thoughts that you'd like the members to be aware of, or the greater public in general? I'm hearing Local 3 is organizing, Local 3 is growing, Local 3 is stronger. If you are a public or a city entity and you would like union representation, you can also call any number on the bottom of or at the end of this podcast. Get organized if you aren't. Reach out to your agents if you aren't. The resources Local 3 provides are invaluable. You might as well take advantage of them. That's why you pay your union dues.
Right. I think Tim said it earlier. We represent like 911 dispatchers. We represent solid waste drivers. We represent our road crews. We represent sworn enforcement, non-sworn law enforcement. So we represent we managers, supervisors. We have a huge management unit, and they're constantly still growing. We represent all these groups of people, and I think you just said it, Mandy. If you're not represented, get represented by OE3. I give 2 thumbs up to the service that we provide because we're a service-oriented organization. And if you're in the law enforcement arena and you run across this podcast, you can keep your LDF. You can still have your PORAC. But one of the things about it that we do, if there's an incident, we come out to that incident for that member.
Physically, you come out.
Physically, we show up. We show up. And I'd be doggone if I don't say we show out if we have to. So that's what we do. That's what we provide. We want to ensure that no matter what, if you're sworn, non-sworn, if you're office worker, if you're solid waste driver, if you roads crew, if you tree crew, if you landfill, you name it, we represent it, and we want to be there for you. We're gonna show up. You will see us. You're gonna see my smiling face. So get used to my smile and get used to my hat because I'll be there.
Well,
To your point, Michael, we're 24/7, so it doesn't matter what day of the week, what hour of the day or night, we'll be there.
Well, I certainly appreciate you and the idea for this discussion because it's not been well known or shared, the level at which you help people in these kind of scary situations. And so yeah, I'm grateful that you brought this to my attention and certainly appreciate your passion and your drive. And our members are in good hands.
Yes, they are.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you.
Thank you.